Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to today's video. As you guys can see, we're here at the Makerspace again. We have our MP5 charging handles ready to print, but when I did the load filament process on the Makerbot Replicator Mini, the filament didn't load. The gears were turning. The filament did get captured in, but it did not come out the head, so I am suspecting that the head might be stuck or something. So now we're gonna take it apart and check out what's inside, and I'll also tell you guys how you can take apart an extruder head like this. So let's cut into the top-down view. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to our improvised top-down camera that is made from my smartphone and also a water bottle. So as you guys can see, the printer heads are all numbered for easier recording. So basically, the parts that you should need to take apart, they won't have any screws. Instead they have these locks that you need to pry open, and try not to be too hard because some of the previous makers, they broke some of them, or maybe they did it on purpose because there are 3 of them on each side, so maybe they just wanted to leave 1 to 2. I'm not sure, but anyways, we can see some of them are broken, so you want to be careful at this step. So just pry the bottom plate off so that we can continue with the disassembly of the entire thing, and just put it aside for the safekeeping. And then there's going to be 4 as well for the next piece for each corner, so just pry that off as well, and then it's going to pop right open. Put that to the side, and then for the main body, there's going to be 3 on each side, none on the top or bottom, but there might be that you might have this guider. You just want to slide it off to the side. It's locked in here with a dowel, so you just want to slide that off there. As you guys can see, that dowel sticks into this hole and basically guides the filament through this feeder hole that is pretty small. So it's something that is just for the guiding of the filament. It is not necessarily needed, but it does help with the filament feeding process. And then for the main body part, you don't want to like pry it open so that it pops open. You just want a small gap in the 2 pieces so that you can know that they're actually apart, but you don't actually have to have them pop open. So after you get them all open, you need to be very, very careful because some of the parts may drop. So what's inside is a gear that is not locked into place, but it has 2 magnets on both sides, so you want to be careful for that. And then the extruder head, you want to make sure, if you just finished printing, you want to make sure that the extruder head has cooled down before taking it apart, or it might actually burn your hand. So you just want to pull it open very gently and just make sure which side your parts are on, and then just take it apart. So as I said, this is the gear that actually bites onto the filament and churns it in, and then there's going to be a magnet on both sides, so you just want to make sure to keep that as well, don't lose it. And then if you guys know this button right here, when you push it down, it loosens the filament, and how it does that is that when you push down on it, it loosens this bearing, which is the bearing that is pushing on the gear that turns the filament inwards. So that is how, when you push down, it actually loosens the filament. So this piece is put in like that. You might have to give it a little encouragement to get it in there. So after you have this piece in there, you would want to take the piece that actually pushes against the extruder head, and then there's going to be a guiding hole here, so you just want to put the part which has a magnet into this bigger hole and just slide it to the end. Basically what it does is just it's like a suspension it's like a dampening spring for vehicles, only it's for the extruder head so that it doesn't like hit the printing platform too hard, which might damage it. So you just want to make sure everything's in place snugly, nice and fit in there. Just press it down from here, from the part that is extruded, and then it's going to be on there quite nicely. And then after that, you want to just make sure your extruder head is aligned on there. But before we do that, we need to actually solve the problem of our extruder head being stuck. So as you guys can see here, the previous one that printed it was black, and as you guys can see, there is a piece of black extruding out from the extruder head. So we're gonna take that out right now, and it's kind of hard to focus. Okay, there we go. So we have it focused, and let's just pull on it, and as you guys can see, it comes out very, very easily. And the reason that it gets stuck is that the parts that are actually heating up is this part. So maybe they finished printing but left it there and then just pulled the filament outside, and then this one got stuck here. And this part gets warm, but it does not get hot enough to actually melt the filament, so the filament might get stuck inside, resulting in a jam. So after that, after you pull it out, if your problem is a jam, after you pull it out, it's that simple. Just pull it out and you're done. So after that, you want to put everything back, as I said, the guiding hole, and then just pull it from here, and then make sure it is aligned, and put your extruder head into the designated spot. So you just want to take the entire thing and just make sure you align it. Make sure you align it well, and just pop the entire thing in place. Just like that. And you want to notice, as you guys can see here, this semicircle has an extruding part inside of the casing itself. It is meant to be locked on to the extruder, the filament releaser. That's what I call it. It's not the terminological name, but basically they have a lock there that is supposed to catch on to the filament loosener, extrapolator, clip grip thing. So basically you want to make sure that it's locked on there so that the actual thing does not slide out during printing, which is going to be pretty awkward. So after that, it's basically the entire thing is done. After that, you just want to put the magnet. Make sure there's one magnet on both sides. As you guys can see, the other side is technically it can't drop out because there is the plastic casing keeping it in place. But if it does, maybe your plastic casing is broken, but that does not necessarily affect the printing process. So after that, you want to put the gears back in, and then cup the whole thing together, and make sure you keep this in place. Don't let it go anywhere that you don't want it to. And then make sure the wires aren't blocking your way. And you should be able to close it very, very easily. And just make sure the locks are locked in place so that your casing itself does not open up during the printing process. And if there are any unclosable seams or seams that are hard to close, just make sure that there aren't anything inside that's blocking it. Make sure that it works very, very normally, and then put the entire thing back on. The guider goes in there, and then the bottom plate goes in with, it goes on in this orientation. And after you have all of the pieces on, of course you want to test it out with the printer after you make sure that there is nothing wrong with the extruder itself. So just like that, you have your extruder back, and now we're gonna go test it out. It works, it extrudes. We have successfully saved the printer head, and during the extrusion process you can actually have a fun game, but it's a waste of filament. So now we're gonna stop the extrusion process and put it to print. But before that, let's put it to 100% fill, because this is gonna be under a lot of stress, if you guys know the charging handles. So let's see, settings, infill, set that to 100, and layer height is basically the layers, the actual layers that the 3D printer prints. And then that's PLA, right, everything should be fine. And supports can be turned on because we might need them. And yeah, so now let's put it to print, and I will see you guys after we have the final product.